you've been reporting on the Trump campaign and that they began exploring the possibility that they could be running against someone other than Biden immediately after the debate. So now here we are 3 weeks later. That's what they're looking at. What are you learning about their reaction to this and what they're going to do about it today?
Yeah, Aaron, I do want to be clear. I mean, immediately after the debate, the Trump team really wasn't actually sure how bad it was for President Joe Biden. They didn't realize that they might be running against someone else until Monday, when they started seeing this really spiral for Joe Biden, for the Democrats. And that's really where they've been, is watching this process unfold. But in recent weeks, we are told that they put together opposition research books on a variety of potential different candidates. It includes Democratic lawmakers. It includes Democratic governors from battleground states, much of whom we have spoken about. But also their big focus has been on the Vice President, Kamala Harris. And that's because they believe at the end of the day, she's going to end up at the top of the ticket. Now, they still haven't poured the same amount of resources in terms of research, data modeling into Harris, because they just aren't 100%. They're not going to change their entire campaign strategy and apparatus until they know for sure she's at the top of the ticket. But they are not wasting any time in going after Harris. They are putting out attack ads right now. It's going to be both the campaign, that's going to come out later, and right now the Super PAC, MAGA Inc., is already putting those out. They are essentially trying to redefine Kamala Harris, because all of the polling that they have seen shows that while Kamala Harris does have the best name identification among all of these potential candidates for president on the Democratic side, there's not a lot of what they call name education, which they believe means that there is an opening for them to essentially cast her in a negative light. So while they are waiting to see and make sure that she's at the top of the ticket, you are going to see pretty vicious attacks going after her in that interim period while they try to figure this out.
All right, Kristen, thank you very much.
Karen Finney, this just jumped out at me. Donald Trump just posting on social media, and let me read it for our viewers. I think the debate with whomever the radical left Democrats choose should be held on Fox News rather than very biased ABC. Is this a sign potentially he's afraid he doesn't want to debate Kamala Harris?
Well, he ought to be afraid. I mean, she's a prosecutor, and she was very good at her job. And she's been a governing partner to the president for the last 3.5 years. I think what it suggests, maybe he's getting cold feet. I don't know. He was perfectly happy to debate Joe Biden on ABC, wasn't he? Look, here's what the other thing, though, I think is important. You're going to see, it was always in the plan from the Republicans to attack Kamala Harris as a woman of color, to use tropes to undermine her intelligence. He was already making fun of her laugh and the tone of her voice. So we're going to hear that, going gangbusters in a way that we were already going to hear, because, again, they were having trouble making things stick against Joe Biden. They tried to make her the issue in 2020. Again, I think you'll see it again in 2024, and try to use some of the very stereotypes that he's actually running against as a way to run against her.
Kristen Soltis Anderson is with us as well. Kristen, as you know, some Republicans are already calling on Biden not just to withdraw as a Democratic presidential candidate, but to give up his White House position right now and stop being president of the United States. He still has several months to go until the end of his term. The Republican vice presidential candidate, J.D. Vance, among them, tweeted this: "If Joe Biden ends his reelection campaign, how can he justify remaining president? Not running for reelection would be a clear admission that President Trump was right all along about Biden not being mentally fit enough to serve as commander-in-chief." Do you think we should expect more of these kinds of comments in the coming days?
I do. I expect a lot more of that, in part because Republicans, even before Biden's decision, were already trying to say, don't you feel uncomfortable with him as the person in the Situation Room? This is already a message that they were on. So now, with this decision by Biden, it just underscores it. And frankly, Republicans, I think, are quite eager to still have Biden's name in the news, for him not to just be able to sort of quietly stay back in the Oval Office and let Harris go out front. Because there are lots of polls that show voters are very concerned, not just about Biden's age, but about the policies of his administration. They will want to keep linking Kamala Harris as closely as possible to Joe Biden. And this is one way to keep doing that.
And we're seeing in battleground states, the Super PAC allied with Donald Trump is making this argument that she was in on this and that she was part of the cover-up of what Biden's true status was. We're going to continue hearing that all throughout.
Sure, going to be continuing to hear a whole lot more as well. Everybody stand by.